Good afternoon, crafty friends and fans of the Tilted Brick. I'm coming to you today with just a little project that I wanted to do. I purchased a stencil and some stamps from the Tilted Brick. I also have this Planner Essentials Elizabeth Craft Designs that I believe I got at the Tilted Brick. If they don't have this one available anymore, they do have a lot of them available, different styles and designs. This one has the big die that does the page, and that is for the albums that they have, Elizabeth Craft Designs, this album. So once you're finished with your project, you can just put it in here. So that's what I'm working on today. I chose a few distress colors, some ink. I have this little craft mat here that just helps keep my space easier to clean up. I have water that I got because I'm going to use some paste today with the stencil. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this paper and I'm going to add some stamped images to it. This is just a nice mixed media stamp set, marks. It has some interesting designs on there, and I just like the textures that it's at, so I'm just going to start with that. I'm going to get out my Nocturne ink. I think we'll start with that. And then we're just going to add some of this to this page that I already cut out. Don't know that I'm going to use an acrylic block, although this is bigger, so I don't know if I want to, I don't know how I want to do that. Let me move this over just a little bit so I can keep in mind where you guys are. Okay, so we're going to open our VersaFine Clair. I like to use this because it is waterproof, dries fairly quickly, and it's going to show through the sprays. And see, I'm not inking up the whole thing. I'm just adding a little bit so that I can add texture in some different places. Sometimes more is more and sometimes less is more. So in this case, I'm just doing a smidge of it. I don't want a lot because I have two other pieces that I'm going to use. And then I do like sometimes to add lighter ones by continuing to stamp. Okay, that's one. Now I'm going to take this flourish here, and I think this one I probably should put on a block just because it is so big, and I do want to capture maybe a little bit more of that flourish. So just reaching for an acrylic block. Not all of it fits on there, but as long as I get this top part, that's the part that I'm wanting. So I'm just gonna make sure it's on there, ink it up. Got a good amount of ink on there, and then I'm just gonna start pressing it in places. Let's see, we'll go up here. A little bit here at the bottom. And I don't know, that's pretty good coverage, I think. Maybe I'll do a little bit more right there. Okay. And I will clean all of these when I'm done. But for right now, nope, turn that over. Put this back on the, and then this one is just a little like crosshatch texture. I don't need the block for that. And I'm going to get ink on here. And then add my texture. And when you're doing something like this, unless you have a specific reason and design in mind, it's good to either rotate your paper or rotate your stamp so that you are getting that texture in different angles and not all facing the same way. Also why I'm kind of moving, as I ink it up, I'm moving down a little bit so that the texture is not exactly the same when I put it on here. Allowing some of it to fade out. And okay, so that's all I'm going to do with that. Put that back on the backer paper. Move that out of the way. Now, put my lid on and wipe off this ink that's here. Okay, so now we have this, and I think I want to use paste with this stencil, but I also would like some of that design. So I think I'm going to ink blend through the stencil before I add sprays so that I can have some of that design in there. These are the colors that I chose. I think I will use this Scorched Timber, and I'll use the sprays for the over the paste, etc. So this is just going to add a little bit of texture, and I'm not going to go, it's not solidly going to be stenciled. I think I've said that before, that I like to just do portions of it stenciled, not the whole thing. We just want to get a little bit of interest, a little bit of texture. And then down here, I've got a glue dot. And I really like this stencil in that it has little hearts in there, has a nice harlequin pattern, but there's also, looks like, some scripty type text. So now that's what we have. And I really am enjoying the look of this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, I'm going to flip this over so that I don't have to clean it. So laziness. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but in different places with my paste. I showed you this before, so with my paste, because it's so dry here, I go ahead and keep some press and seal over it to make sure that my paste stays moist. And so just a little stir in there. And then we'll start spreading some of that, and then we'll let it dry for just a second. And we will, let's see, move this up to the top. Add some color through over the paste. I'm putting a thin layer so it won't take long for it to dry. And I'm doing the same thing that I did with the ink and just adding it in random places. Specifically trying to not hit the same places that I hit with ink, or have them overlap a little bit but not completely cover the ink with paste. And I'm not trying to make it perfect so that every empty space is filled with paste. As a matter of fact, I don't want every empty space filled with paste. I want it to be a little distressed, and so just parts of it. So let's see, I have the paste there. And that's pretty good, I think. I might add one more spot right here. This is kind of covering some of the ink, but not a lot of it. Okay, there we go. Now I'm sliding this right into my water bath so that the texture paste does not stick. I'm going to take my paste, push it down, trying to get it kind of even, same way you would do your yogurt or whatever. And then that goes in the water bath. Put my press and seal back on, and I kind of press it onto the paste and then put my lid back on. Okay, now this is going to dry. It won't take it very long, but once I get this lid on over here, I will help it out a little bit with my Ranger tool here. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this on the desk and in camera. Move that over. So far I'm really liking it, but I think it'll be really nice once we get the color added to it in the sprays. So I've chosen fossilized amber, saltwater taffy, both the oxide and the stain, and then salvage patina. All of these colors are available at the Quilted Brick. There are, I believe, 72 colors, plus white. And they have both the stain and the oxide spray. So the oxide spray has like a chalky finish, but also sits more on top of the color, so it has a really interesting effect. They are all water reactive, so you'll get a good reaction with the paper. And I'm just using a mixed media paper that takes liquids well. Let me wipe off this paste here before I stick my hand in it again. This craft mat that I have right here I've had for a long time, and it does a really good job of cleaning up afterwards, so I don't have to worry about anything sticking to it. Okay, so now I will start with my salvage patina, and I'm just going to spray it in a couple places, and then I'll add a little water and let it move and run. Okay, then I will take the next color, which is my saltwater taffy, and I'll do both. This one is going to be the spray stain, but also the oxide. And I want my yellow, the fossilized amber, to be more of a accent, so I'm going to use that very sparingly. See the bottom of my bottle? Most of the settlement is off of there, so now I'm going to just put that in a couple of places. Let's see how it acts. And again, we'll do a little bit of water. And then let it move around. And now hit this again with the heat tool. Just to help it dry. If I were just doing this and not a video, I probably wouldn't use the heat tool. I would just let it dry on its own, move on to something else, but nobody wants to watch my spray stain dry, right? So I'll do all that. And then I'm going to come back and add some of this yellow. So we'll do that. Get a little yellow. This is the fossilized amber, so it's a really deep color. Okay. And again, add water because I want that to be more lighter. I want it to be lighter. I don't want it to be as strong as it came out of the bottle. So we're going to hit it with the heat tool again. You can see how the color is kind of a little bit darker around the edges of the Harlequin texture. So that's kind of a fun effect. You can see where the oxide spray was. It's a little bit chalkier, where the other spray is a brighter, dries brighter. Doesn't have that chalky finish. So the regular spray stain, it does not have a chalky finish. The oxide has a chalky finish. You can add more water to make things move a little bit more. You can also take paper towel and just, if you think you have too much liquid in one spot, or you're getting tired of watching spray stain dry, and you can tap it so that it dries more quickly. I want to add more of my salvage patina. And when you're doing something like this is layers. So a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. If you get to a point where you don't like your project, add another layer. That could definitely help it. And when you are about 80% happy with what you have, that's a good place to stop. But in my early days of creating projects with sprays and stuff, I did not, two things I did wrong. One was I didn't have the right paper. So you need a really good mixed media paper where the sprays can sit on top and react with the water where they don't sink in super quickly. I might try to do a video on that for you just to show you the difference, because that makes a huge difference. And then the other difference is adding a little bit of layers at a time. Sometimes I stopped way too soon and didn't like a project, and if I had just kept going, then I think now, knowing what I know now, I think I would have liked the project better. So I really like how the saltwater taffy pink is kind of showing up. I'm going to add a bit more of that spray stain, and then I'm going to splatter with the oxide. So I do like how this is turning out. So we're going to come back with our saltwater taffy spray stain. Just add a little bit more color. And again, I'll add water. Dry. As always, if you see a technique, hear about a technique that you want to know about, please leave a comment. Please go into the Tilted Brick and let them know. And even if it's something I don't know how to do, I am very happy to go and do the research and figure out how to do it so that I can then do a tutorial. I always like learning and creating, and to learn something new so that I can share it with others is just really fun for me. So I'm just wiping up some of this excess. Now I'm going to put it back down, and I'm going to take my oxide, and now I'm going to splatter, which I'm just going to take the lid off, and then what's left on the nozzle, I'm going to splatter on there. And the nice thing about an oxide is, you see where this is dry, the oxide is sitting, let me see if I can move this closer to the camera. The oxide is sitting right on top of that color. It's not necessarily sinking in. It'll sit on top of there and dry, which has a really cool effect. So just, again, just drying. And I think one more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few steps away so that I can pick up a spritz, which is the shiny spray. I don't have the salvage patina, and I don't think it comes in distressed spritz. So I'm going to use a color that is bluish, that's close. And so I'm using Broken China. But I want to do this so that I get some glittery splatters and something that sits on top of the pink. Now you can see here it's spreading because that area is still wet. And where it's dry, it sits on top. So we're going to get some unique looks out of that. All right. When you're doing this, if you're not using a splatter box, be sure to just leave a lot of room around you for the inevitable little splatters of color. Maybe wear an apron or clothes that you do not mind getting spray stain on, because spray stain will stain. And so This is almost done. I'm really liking what it looks like right now. We're going to keep adding just a little bit of heat so I can kind of get this I'm hoping I can get close enough to show you how the Distress Spritz has a nice shine to it when it dries. So, just a couple more spots that are wet. This yellow is pretty thick right there, doesn't want to dry. Okay. I think that's probably good enough. So now, I'm trying to get stuff off my fingers. Let's see if I can hold it up close enough where you can see. Yeah, you can see the glitter or the shine, the shimmer right here in those dots. So I really like this, how brightly that turned out. I noticed this corner's still a little wet, so we're gonna add a little bit more heat to that. And a little bit of color on the back. That just means those are the colors I'm gonna use next time. The last thing I want to add before I put a little sentiment on here is I want to take a blender brush and I want to add a little shading on the outside of this. So I'm just going to take the same ink I had before, which is a Scorched Timber. I'm just going to add a little color on the outside here. Give that a little bit more of that grunge look. Trying to be careful because where the paste isn't all the way dry, it's trying to pick up the paste. But I just want to give a little bit of color, darker color on these edges here. There, okay. And now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Tim Holtz Ideology Small Talk book, which is available at the Tilted Brick as well. And I'm just going to find a sentiment or sentiments that I want to put on here. And let's see. There's so many on here that have really good thoughts. Do what you love what you do, be authentic. Practice kindness. Ooh. So let's do, okay, one more. We're going to turn the page and see what else is on here. What seems ordinary is often extraordinary. Collect beautiful moments. Find joy in the ordinary. There we go. Find joy in the ordinary. So I'm just going to tilt the page a little bit. Grab that and we'll add it here. And if I had a little more time, I would find some flowers or something that matches. But today I just really wanted to come and show you a way to combine some colors, the fun new stamp set and stencils that I bought. Find joy in the ordinary. And how about creativity takes courage. The nice thing about this book too is you have the white sentiments, but we also have white print on black. So that makes it nice too. Creativity takes courage. Oops. There's that. Did I get that straight enough? I don't think so. Let's see if I have time to pick it up. I do have a little bit of time. Try to get it straight without also putting my head in the camera. So there's that. And all we have left to do is take our Elizabeth Crafts art journal book, open it up, and add our page. So again, let me know if there's anything else that you would like to see, any techniques, color combinations, or products. I'm happy to go and try out products so that you can see how they work. So thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful day. Like and subscribe. Go by the shop. I will be there on Wednesdays, either for questions or for demo day. This Wednesday I will be there doing a Glimmer Machine demo, but I'm always available for questions on the Wednesdays that I'm there, usually from about 11 to 1 or 11 to 2. All right, thanks for joining me today. Bye.